before death. Beach discovered man being dumped. The Somerton Man was an unidentified individual discovered on December 1, 1948, on Somerton Park Beach in Adelaide, South Australia. The case is commonly referred to by the Persian phrase, tamam shud, meaning, is over, or, is finished, which was found on a scrap of paper in the man's trouser pocket. Welcome to the place where you'll find your perfect accommodation. If you're the owner of a hotel, motel, or a similar establishment, don't hesitate to reach out for a potential collaboration. This scrap was torn from the final page of a copy of Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. After a police appeal, the book was located, revealing indentations on the inside back cover with a local telephone number, another unidentified number, and text resembling a coded message. The code has not been deciphered to date. On December 1, 1948, at 6:30 a.m., police were alerted to a man's body discovered on Somerton Park Beach near Glenelg, 11 kilometers southwest of Adelaide, South Australia. The man lay on the sand near the crippled children's home, appearing as if he had died in his sleep. His possessions included tickets, a comb, gum, and matches. Witnesses recalled seeing a similar figure in the same spot the previous evening. In 1959, a witness mentioned seeing a well-dressed man carrying another along the beach the night before the discovery. Pathologist John Burton Cleland described the deceased as British, aged 40, 45, in excellent physical condition. The man wore distinctive clothing with all labels removed, had no identification, and was clean-shaven. His dental records couldn't be matched. An autopsy revealed a normal heart size but congestion in various organs. The man's last meal was a pasty, consumed 3 to 4 hours before death. Although poisoning was suspected, the source was unclear. The coroner couldn't determine the man's identity, cause of death, or if he matched the witness descriptions. The body was embalmed on December 10, 1948, as positive identification couldn't be obtained. On January 14, 1949, staff at Adelaide Railway Station found a brown suitcase believed to belong to the beach-discovered man. Contents included a red dressing gown, slippers, undergarments, pajamas, shaving items, trousers with sand, an electrician's screwdriver, a modified table knife, sharpened scissors, a zinc square, and a stenciling brush. A barber thread card matched repairs on the trousers. Clothing had no identification except for T. Keen on a tie, laundry bag, and Keen on a singlet with dry cleaning marks. No T. Keen was reported missing, and wartime rationing made clothing traceability difficult. Unusually, no spare socks were found, and the coat suggested U.S. manufacture. Police believed the man arrived by train, showered at city baths, checked his suitcase, then caught a bus to Glenelg, skipping the train to Henley Beach for unknown reasons. Following the discovery of the body, an inquest led by Coroner Thomas Erskine Cleland began, adjourned until June 17, 1949. Cleland, the investigating pathologist, found the man's shoes surprisingly clean, suggesting he may have been brought to the beach post-mortem. Speculation arose about the possibility of the man dying elsewhere and being dumped. Witnesses couldn't positively identify the man from the previous night. Professor Cedric Stanton Hicks testified about toxic drugs, but the cause of death remained elusive. Cleland suggested poisoning, possibly self-administered or by another person. A plaster cast was made after the inquest, but the man's identity and cause of death remained an unparalleled mystery, with authorities unsure if the cause of death would ever be known. Around the time of the inquest, a scrap of paper reading, Tamam Shud, was found in a fob pocket within the dead man's trousers. Translated as, ended, or, finished, it matched the final page of Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Police searched Australia for a copy of the book with a similarly blank verso, eventually locating one shown by a man known as Ronald Francis. The book was found either a week or just after the man's discovery on Somerton Beach, suggesting he had been in Adelaide longer than presumed. The book was discovered in an unlocked car in Jetty Road, Glenelg. Rubaiyat's theme of living life fully led police to theorize suicide by poison, though no evidence supported the theory. The book lacked Tamam Shud on the last page, and microscopic tests confirmed the paper's origin. Faint indentations in the book revealed 5 lines of capitalized text, with the second line struck out. The first line's letter is debated, likely W. A deleted or underlined line reads, Mliawi, with an X above the last O, its significance unknown. The code's connection to the case remains a mystery. Initially thought to be foreign language words, the letters found in the code resisted decryption attempts by both experts and amateurs. In 1978, Department of Defense cryptographers analyzed the text but deemed it impossible to provide a clear answer due to its brevity, suggesting it might be the product of a disturbed mind. In 2004, retired detective Jerry Feltus proposed an interpretation related to moving to South Australia. From 2009 to 2011, Derek Abbott's team suggested each letter represented the first letter of a word. In 2014, computational linguist John Relling supported the theory that the letters were initials of English text, likely written as a form of shorthand rather than a code, making the original text nearly impossible to determine. A telephone number was discovered in the book, leading to nurse Jessica Ellen (Joe) Thompson, who resided near the beach where the body was found. Thompson denied knowing the dead man or why he had her number. In 1948, an unidentified man had inquired about her. Jerry Feltus believed Thompson knew the Somerton man's identity. Thompson's daughter, Kate, also believed her mother had knowledge of the deceased. Jessica requested her details not be permanently recorded or released, hampering investigations. Various pseudonyms were used for her in media and discussions, including Jestin. Thompson's real name was considered crucial for code decryption. Thompson couldn't identify the plaster cast bust of the dead man, reacting strongly. She claimed to have owned a copy of Rubaiyat during World War II, given to Australian Army Lieutenant Alf Boxall in 1945. After the war, she moved to Melbourne, married Prosper Thompson, and corresponded with Boxall until her marriage. Despite suspicions, Boxall was found alive in Sydney in July 1949 with an intact copy of Rubaiyat. He had no awareness of any connection between the dead man and himself. Various identifications were proposed, creating a flurry of leads. E.C. Johnson identified himself a day after the advertiser named him as the likely victim. The news's front-page photo further prompted public calls about the man's identity. By December 4, police confirmed the man's fingerprints were not in South Australian records, expanding their search. On December 5, a man claimed to have met someone resembling the dead man, producing a military pension card with the name Solomonson. In early January 1949, Robert Walsh was identified by two individuals. James Mack later claimed it was Walsh but retracted after a second viewing. By February 1949, there were 8 different positive identifications, including a friend from Darwin, a missing station worker, a steamship worker, and a Swedish man. Victoria detectives initially believed he was from there based on laundry marks. Numerous claims were disproven, and a seaman named Tommy Reed was ruled out. By November 1953, police had received 251 public solutions to the man's identity, but the only valuable clue remained the clothing he wore. The case took a darker turn when it was considered in connection with the death of 2-year-old Clive Magnuson 6 months later. On June 6, 1949, Clive's body was discovered in a sack in the Largs Bay Sand Hills, with his unconscious father, Keith Waldemar Magnuson, lying nearby. The father, found by Neil McRae, had been missing with Clive for 4 days. Clive's cause of death was undetermined, and his stomach contents were sent for analysis. Following the incident, Roma Magnuson, Clive's mother, reported threats from a masked man driving a cream car. The man warned her to stay away from the police. A similar-looking individual was seen around her house. Roma believed the situation was linked to her husband's attempt to identify the Somerton Man as Carl Thompson, a former colleague. After being interviewed by the police, Roma collapsed and required medical treatment. J.M. Gower, secretary of the Largs North Progress Association, received anonymous threats regarding Mrs. Magnuson, while A.H. Curtis, the acting mayor of Port Adelaide, also faced threats. Police suspected a possible hoax, linking the caller to terrorizing a woman in a nearby suburb who had recently lost her husband under tragic circumstances.